On May 9th, 1966, Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr entered Studio 2 at Abbey Road to begin a 4-hour session devoted to a Paul McCartney tune originally titled Why Did It Die? The first two lyrics of the song, which would eventually be retitled For No One, began with the familiar lyrics, Your day breaks, your mind aches, and She wakes up, she makes up. But the chorus is where the original lyrics begin to differ substantially from the finished version. Why did it die? You'd like to know, cry and blame her. You wait, you're too late. As you're deciding why the wrong one wins, the end begins and you will lose her. Why did it die? I'd like to know. Try to save it. You want her, you need her, so make her see that you believe it may work and someday you need each other. Paul wrote the song while on holiday with his girlfriend, Jane Asher, in Switzerland in March of 1966, with no input from John Lennon. John would eventually cite the track as one of his favorite McCartney compositions. As the recording commenced, a simple rhythm track was recorded with Paul on piano and Ringo playing softly on drums, using mostly the hi-hat. 10 takes were attempted, with the 10th considered the best. At the conclusion of the session, Paul overdubbed a bass part and Ringo a tambourine. Another overdub was done by Paul on a clavichord borrowed from producer George Martin. On May 16th, starting at 2:30 in the afternoon, Paul recorded his vocal track. His vocal was recorded at 47 and a half cycles so that it would sound slightly faster when played back.
In that day of every you find your day breaks, your mind aches, you find that all that works.
As a solo had not been recorded on the 4-track master, 2 tape reductions were made to open up an available track and marked as takes 13 and 14. Alan Civil, the principal horn player for the BBC Symphony Orchestra, was contacted by George Martin to provide the French horn solo that Paul had envisioned. The session took place on May 19th in EMI Studio 3, starting at 7 p.m. Paul sang the melody he had in mind for George Martin, who transcribed it for Alan. Paul remembered later, towards the end of the session when we were getting the piece down for Alan to play, George explained to me the range of the instrument. Well, it goes from here to this top E. And I said, what if we ask him to play an F? George saw the joke and joined in the conspiracy. We came to the session and Alan looked up from his bit of paper. George, I think there's a mistake here. You've got a high F written down. Then George and I said, yeah, and smiled back at him, and he knew what we were up to and played it. These great players will do it. Even though it's officially off the end of their instrument, they can do it, and they're quite into it occasionally. It's a nice little solo. Incredibly, after Alan Civil completed the note-perfect solo, Paul asked him if he couldn't try again and give an even better performance. Civil assured him very curtly that he could not. Alan Civil would have the distinction of being one of the few musicians to ever receive credit on the sleeve of the Beatles album.